from now on, it's recorded. We have slides, we have presentations, we have an amazing group of experts that will help us discuss what are the main challenges for reaching out climate neutrality targets. As we know, the digital sector is part of the solution, or we hope that it's going to be a big part of the solution, but it's also definitely a part of the problem with this environmental footprint. Today, we have brought together experts from standard organizations, industry, public authorities, and technical communities to look on how to align roadmaps. This is to meet climate neutrality challenges, to protect our environment. It's a global endeavor. There are no boundaries, no geographic boundaries to reach out climate neutrality. And it's very important that we have collaboration at an international level. Now, I'm going to pass the floor to Martin Châtel, that is a Senior International Relations Officer at ETSI. Martin, in case you want to be more precise, please add it. Martin will give us an opening strategic entry to the discussions we will have this morning. So without any further ado, let me pass the floor to Martin. Martin, you are on mute. We need you just need to open the channel. Emily?
Does it work?
Voila. Yes.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and warm greetings to colleagues joining us from China and across Europe. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this EU China workshop on Green ICT standardization, and to open today's discussion on behalf of ETSI and our Director General. As digital technologies continue to transform economies and societies, sustainability has become a shared global priority. And in this context, Green ICT is a key pillar to the digital transition, and standards play an essential role in providing common methodologies, trusted metrics, interoperable approaches, and that enable more energy efficient and sustainable digital infrastructure. So today's workshop is both timely and important. It will be structured into 3 sessions. One session will present the updates on the Green ICT standardization roadmaps in Europe and China. The session 2 will focus on technical standardization in key areas, including energy efficiency to 5G and 6G, power consumption and KPIs for data centers, and eco-design and sustainability of ICT product. And the second part of session 2 will explore how policy and regulations can be translated into technical standards in this domain. So ETSI is very proud to coordinate the InDiCo Global project, which is a Horizon Europe initiative implemented together with key partners, Senelec, Martel Innovate, and Trust IT. The main objective of this project is really to strengthen international cooperation on ICT standardization, and China is a key partner in this endeavor. And today's workshop is a concrete example of that cooperation in action. It also builds on a strong relationship between EU and China, notably through the known SESEC project. In this regard, I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of Metik Su, our SESEC experts, whose work has helped strengthen exchanges and mutual understanding between our standardization communities over many years. Building on this foundation, ETSI continues to deepen its cooperation with Chinese partners, in particular China Communication Standard Association, CCSA, and China Electronic Standardization Institute, SESI, reflecting on our shared commitment to advancing international standardization dialogue. We are also very delighted to welcome colleagues from ITUT Study Group 5, holding its plenary here at ETSI this week. Their participation is a long-standing cooperation with HCTC Energy EE that has resulted in the publication of over 40 technically aligned standards by our organization and brings an important international perspective in today's discussion. Before concluding my remarks, I'd like, of course, to thank the InDiCo Global partners, SENELEC, Martel Innovate and Trust IT, as well as the SESEC team, ITUT, Study Group 5, and all colleagues who have contributed to this event. In particular, I'd like to thank my teammates, Xavier Piednoir, our Director for International Cooperation Projects, and his leadership, and Émilie Bourgois for excellent work in making today's workshop possible. They are there in the room. We'll have plenty of chance to talk to them during the day. So I'm very confident that today's discussion will be constructive and insightful and forward-looking, and will really further strengthen cooperation between Europe and China in this important field and at a very important time where geopolitics plays a role. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a very successful workshop. Thank you.
Many thanks, Martin. You have anticipated a lot of things that I wanted to mention, so it's great. I can give the floor directly, and we can move to the technical standardization roadmap session. We have several experts here. We will start with a presentation on activities both in China and in Europe. We have several experts. We have 3 experts. We have Mengdi Wang from the China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. We have Beniamino Gorini from Nokia, and we have Dominique Wurz that is from Orange, and he will give us an overview about ITUT. So without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mengdi.
Okay, thank you so much. May I have a second to share the slide?
Sure, you just have to share the screen. It's the green button close to the video.
This one. Give me 1 second.
Perfect, it's coming. Yes. Now you might want to put it in a slideshow mode.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yes, there. Perfect.
Everyone can see my screen?
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, our distinguished delegate from the European Union and China. So at first, I will give a brief introduction about myself. It's Mengdi from China Academy of Information and Communications Technology. So actually, it's my great honor to be here with you guys to share some our latest progress, achievement, and the roadmap for the standardization of green ICT technologies in China. So actually, as the world works together to pursue how to say the carbon neutrality or how to say the net zero goals, the green ICT has become a pretty much critical pillar for digital economy decarbonization. So actually, standards can act as the fundamental rule to guide the industrial development or like the technical innovation, and even for the cross-border cooperation, something like that. So today I will walk through China's policies and like standard system, key achievements, practical cases, and even for some, from my thinking, the potential of future collaboration with EU and China. So first, let's take a quick look at the top-level policy framework in China. And actually, China has issued a series of targeted policies to drive the green ICT standardization, which can be aligned with our national carbon neutrality commitment and even in support of the net zero goals worldwide. And we have rolled out, as the slides show, that the 4 major policy documents with a clear phased arrangement from like 2023 to even for the 2035. So like from the 2023 to 2025, our standards focus on some basic areas include the bullet like the energy saving, the resource utilization, and the green manufacturing, co-construction and sharing, and even for the ICT enablement, etc. And after that, for the period of 2025 to 2030, we highlight some application of the new and emerging ICT technologies in the traditional low carbon industries. And especially the milestone for China, the fifth 5-year plan from 2026 to 2030, we will have further strengthened the national standards and promotes a kind of integration to the digital, intelligent to promote and green technologies from 2026 to 2030. And actually, in the long run till 2035, as I mentioned, we will deepen some standardization work on like computing and green supply chain and eco design. So actually, all these policies in China, we have built how to say the clear or the step-by-step guidance for the whole Green ICT standardization work. And based on the above policies I mentioned, actually, in China, we have established how to say the complete and hierarchical and national standard system for Green ICT. And which can divide it into, you can see from the slide, we have 7 key parts, 7 core categories. They are like the energy saving, the resource utilization, green manufacturing, carbon neutrality, or something like the net zero for the worldwide. And number 5 is co-construction and sharing. The 6 is infrastructure operation and maintenance, and after that we'll have ICT enablement to the vertical sectors. So for each category, we covers like comprehensive basic rules and like the product requirements and the technical specification and the management systems, something like that. And for example, the carbon neutrality number 4, we can include how the GHG emissions accounting, and we will also have the product carbon footprint, something like that. And for the number 5, the co-construction and the sharing, our rules can apply to both the internal ICT field and also the cross-industry scenarios. So among all 7 categories I mentioned, so the infrastructure construction operation and maintenance, like number 6, actually is in China is the largest and most widely applied field in the standardization work, and it mainly can cover like 3 major physical scenarios, like the base station sites, data center, and telecommunication room. So actually, these 3 types of ICT infrastructure consume the large amounts of energy in China, and so they are the core focus of our standardization work in China. Okay, now we can focus on the standard layout of the 3 key infrastructure as I mentioned before. So for the mobile, for the base station side, our standards will emphasize like energy efficiency classification, some co-construction sharing, and even for the new energy adaptation. And for the telecommunication rule, some core standards will target on the like fresh air energy saving, some high precision energy consumption metering, and also have the low carbon operation and maintenance. And even for the data centers, we will set some pretty much strict energy efficiency limits, and also have some requirements of the liquid cooling system, and even for the green evaluation metrics. And compared with these 3, actually data center have the most comprehensive and stringent standard system in China. And it's not only a kind of a key part of domestic green transformation, but also a priority area for China and the EU standard exchange maybe in the future. Okay, next I would like to introduce one of the important standard, like the actually we can say the milestone of the green data center in standardization work in China. We were taking the standard called the GB/T 44989 2024. Is the evaluation of green data center, which is released on November 28, 2024, and be implemented on June 1st, 2025. And its evaluation system consists of 5 major parts, as you can see from the slide. And from the first one, we can see the efficient use, the energy and resource, maybe count 50% of the total scoring or the ranking scenario with some clear limits, something like I mentioned from the bullet, like the PUE shall be no higher than 1.5 and the IT equipment load factor over 30%, and like the renewable energy utilization rate is about 20%. And I also have the WE is the lowest to 1.6 liters per kilowatt hour, something like that. And also we have some extra points are given for the better performance. And the standard also covers like a green design, the green procurement, green operation and maintenance, and also have green services. So it covers something like as I mentioned before, the liquid cooling, some natural cold source, and some high efficiency power distribution, energy management platform, and waste disposal, something like that. So this standard set how to say the unified evaluation benchmark for the all domestic data centers and greatly promotes the whole industry's low carbon upgrade. And also some good standards can lead our activities in China to get the solid industrial practices. So guided by the unified standard system, our Chinese enterprises will have some a large number of mature green ICT solutions and applications. So first, with this slide, I will actually we developed how to say the high precision energy metering devices and code and edge collaboration management system for millions of base station sites, because in China, as we know from the information, maybe in China we have the number of base station sites maybe over than 5 million. So it's huge, large scales of the base station size. And we also combined with the AI-driven energy efficiency diagnosis models, and we can realize some intelligent energy saving and the dynamic management. And at the same time, some special database for energy saving and renewable power can be built to integrate wind power utilization. And that's one of the key important use cases. And also in terms for the especially for the hardware, I think also from the kind of base station, we have developed so-called the low temperature resistant lithium batteries. And also it will be with the PV power optimizers, and we also have done multi-input and multi-output power feeding system, which can support the new energy access on the base station sites. And also for the data centers, some technologies such as the hot and cold air isolation, some modular data center backdoor cooling with heat recycling and the reuse, and also for the liquid cooling have been widely deployed in the data center in China based on the guidance of Chinese standard. And many telecom operators have built integrated energy and carbon management platforms, something like that, and which can monitor like the real-time power consumption and got the GHG emissions and the renewable energy uses, something like that. And all these practices fully prove that our standards are practical and operable and effective. And also just to give all the experts some thinking from my side about the potential cooperation in standardization work with the European Union and China. Actually, I think, as we all know, the standards, especially for the international standards, are the common language for the global industrial cooperation. So we can say that the Green ICT standardization has laid a pretty much solid foundation of the deeper partnership with China and the EU. So we propose 3 key directions for future work to share with you guys. And the first, we can say the advanced standard alignment and the mutual recognition. And we can conduct like a comparative research on China and EU Green ICT standards. We can identify like gaps and carry out some pilot recognition on data center energy efficiency, and also have green product evaluation to lower the cross-border compliance and compliance cost for the enterprise. And also, second, we can think something like the co-development international standards. I think it's the pretty much easier way, and maybe we can keep it doing at the first stage. And for the frontier fields, including some, as I mentioned, the liquid cooling, some GHG emissions accounting, and AI energy saving, something like that, we can jointly submit some proposals, whatever in ITU, SC, ISO, IC, something like that. We can jointly submit some proposals to international standard organizations, and we can jointly formulate some global technical rules. And last, we can jointly build some conformity assessment systems, and we can cooperate like on testing or certification and the mutual recognition of assessment results. I think it's pretty much important in the future to enhance the credibility to Green ICT standards worldwide. So I can think China is willing to work hand in hand with Euro experts to share our experience, learn from each other, and contribute more to global green development and the net zero in the standardization work. So thank you for your listening. So I welcome your questions and the discussions during the panel discussion. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much, Mandy. Very dense presentation. Thanks a lot for the insight that you provided. And now I would like to pass to our next speaker. Mandy, if you can mute your channel and stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now it's the turn of Beniamino Gorini from Nokia. Some of the colleagues are jointly sitting in the Etsy amphitheater. We cannot hear your voice, so the audio is muted. It's the audio. You have to click on the window in your laptop. I guess someone that is called Etsy Amphitheater has to unmute. Yeah. Perfect. It's amazing. Okay. Now it's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Oui. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thanks. So let me share my screen.
That way.
Okay.
Perfect. We see it good.
The other computer there?
We see it perfectly.
And you can control
online.
But from that one?
From there or from there?
With my computer.
No, with this computer.
With that computer.
Okay, we wait until Beniamino moves.
You have to announce.
Yes, perfect. We can see you and we can hear.
So I moved from my seat to another place. Okay, now I'm looking for the. Thank you. So then, my name is Beniamino Gorini. I'm the chair of the SETC Environmental Engineering, that is one of the committee in charge for the eco-environmental standards, among two other one. And I work for Nokia. In this presentation, I'm focusing on the technical standardization roadmap for the Green ICT in Europe. I will not go through the technical standard, etc., because there are other sessions where details will be provided. I'm looking which is the one to change this slide here.
Try to press enter.
It works here.
I don't have any keyboard.
Ah, okay. The tricky part then.
Okay, I'm now in front of the keyboard. It is not changing.
No, not for us.
It doesn't stay on this.
Doesn't change.
It's changing.
Ah,
Not online.
it's not changed here on. So
Probably
it's changed
have to
locally,
swap.
but not online.
You have to swap the screens.
Because here it's changed, but online is not changed.
Now you're back to the beginnings, right? Yes.
Otherwise, Eugenia, do we have the slides? Can we do the sharing? And when Beniamino says next, we go on?
Should I use my computer? That probably is.
We do.
We have the slides from there.
Okay, Beniamino, we can share the slides and then you will say just the next slide. So can you go ahead and stop sharing?
Just give me 1 second to find the
Thank you,
presentation.
Aletta. Thank you very much. Beniamino, we're coming with the our shared screen so that we gain time. So we're about to get there.
Otherwise, I can use my computer because I think it's easier. Let's.
We're getting there.
1
Beniamino,
second. Take my computer. No.
Sorry, Monique, I also cannot find this particular presentation. I have the rest, but this one I can't.
Beniamino is plugging his own computer. I think it's the best. So he has full control. Apologies with these technical glitches. Here we go, Beniamino, we can see it. Go next. We cannot.
With my computer, but I don't know why it's not changing. Okay. Okay.
Here we go.
It works. Okay.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Sorry, apologize for this. Then, regarding the technical standardization in support of the Green ICT, as you know, in the standardization organization, there are several activities that are going on, and it is one of them that is working on the different topics. So we are working on the best practices to reduce the environmental impact. Then we are working together with other SDO on the reduction, measurement, and control of the energy consumption. Then another topic is the product circularities, and then the methodology to determine the environmental impact and the adaptation to climate change of the critical sectors. not just the ICT or all these topics, they are also for other sectors. But today we are just focusing on the green ICT. Then in Europe, there are in place certain regulation that we will see in the next slides. Obviously, regulation are in place for different sectors. Normally, the regulation are implemented for the sector where there are major environmental impact. So for the ICT, the first topic was related to the consumer devices, and we will see later which are the regulations that will be put in place. And then the other topic is related to the non-regulatory initiative that has been launched in EU. And normally this can be used as a starting point for future regulation. So for all these topics, as I said, SC is highly active in the production of the deliverables, and there is cooperation through all the standardization organization. One of the group on which we have a very tight cooperation is with ITOT SG5, on which we have some technical line deliverables on the green ICT. Then how the roadmap is created. So in EU, we used to maintain the rolling plan for the ICT standardization. In this slide, you have also the link if you want to have more details about the rolling plan. What is the rolling plan? This is a document that highlights where the ICT standardization is needed. It facilitates the implementation of the policy objectives, and then is also able to create a link between the research and the standardization. The rolling plan is quite generous, not just for the eco-environmental aspects, is covering different topics, also cybersecurity, etc. But one of the aspects covered, the action that are covered in the rolling plan, is regarding the sustainability. So this one is one of the documents on which we identify which are the actions that we need to put in place and where are the gaps for the green ICTs. Then, as I said before, other than the standardization, there are the regulation in Europe. So there is the framework directive, that is the eco-design directive, that define the general aspects or rules that can be established to define the specific regulation. So under this directive, there are specific regulations for different sectors, and those regulations can define specific requirements. Specific requirements are, for instance, the exact values that have been put in place or report. This can be, for instance, the maximum power consumption of something, the off-mode power consumption, the quantity of recycled material, etc. Or they can include the generic requirements. In this case, you don't have the specific or exact limits, but provide or request to provide general aspects. For instance, the product is energy efficient or recyclable. What type of information shall be provided to the user? How to perform the lifecycle analysis of the products? And then each regulation defines either the specific requirement or generic requirements, or a combination of them. Regarding the regulation that we have in place right now for the ICT in Europe, so we have the regulation for the eco-design for server and data storage products. Then we have, and in this one, there are also here generic values for the power consumption, specific value for the power consumption and generic values of the information that you need to provide in the product documentation. Then there is the regulation for the off mode, standby mode, and network standby mode energy consumption of electrical and electronic household and office equipment. For this one, we have provided a set of standards. There is the standard for the interconnecting equipment that is under the responsibility of SESEC, and the standard for the edge equipment that are under the responsibility of SENELEC, that is the other European standardization organization, that is the mirror committee of ISO IC in Europe. Then there is the regulation on the energy labeling of smartphone and tablets, and the regulation for the eco-design requirements for the smartphone and tablets, on which SENELEC and ETSI are preparing the standard for this regulation. And then another one is the regulation for the external power supplies. This is the one that is used also for the ICT devices, and this is the latest one on which we have started to define the program of work. How the work is planned for the regulation in Europe. So the European Commission start period of study where they identify which are the items that needs to regulate. Then they prepare a regulation or a directive. Then when the regulation is adopted, it is send a standardization request to the European Standardization Organization, that is SENELEC and ETSI. Then the draft of the standardization request is analyzed by the standardization organization, and start a dialogue between the standardization organization to define the program of work, identify which standard should be prepared by one or the other. Then when the standardization request is finally adopted, the standardization organization in Europe start to prepare the deliverables that have been requested by the standardization request. And every year I need to provide a report on the progress of those work items to the European Commission. Then when the standards are drafted, these are submitted to the European Commission. They check whether the deliverables are covering the requirements defined in the standards, defined the regulation. Sorry. Then, if the standard is meeting the request of the European Commission, then the standard is adopted, and it is called harmonized standard. So the harmonized standard is when the reference of the standard is cited on the official journal of the European Union. So this process helps to get tight coordination between the standardization organization, having a good cooperation and avoiding duplication of work or conflicting requirements. Then, other than the regulation in place in Europe, we have also some non-regulatory initiatives. So non-regulatory initiatives are something that is voluntary. The stakeholders can sign to participate to this non-regulatory initiative, and they commit to report certain data to the European Commission. Normally this task is given to the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. So the non-regulatory initiative for the ICT environment, we have the one for the data center, that are the best practices guideline for the data center and energy efficiency. Here, there are different topics covered. There is there are different category, and there are topics related to the entire data center, to the new adoption of software, how to build or retrofit the stuff in the data center, and there are some optional practice that needs to be put in place in order to have a green data center. For this, we have some reference of the ETSI standards together with other standards prepared in other standardization organizations. What is supporting this activity for the green data center is also there is also coordination group between SEN, SENELEC, and ETSI that has already prepared a landscape of the deliverables for the data centers, and now they are maintaining this document and improving again the deliverables for the green data centers. Then another non-regulatory initiative is the Code of Conduct for the energy consumption of the broadband equipment. This Code of Conduct is covering the network equipment and the end user ICT equipment. Also here, there are references to ETSI standard regarding the methodology to measure the power consumption of the network and CPE equipment. And the same of the previous one, the stakeholder that signed this Code of Conduct commit to apply certain rules and to report to the European Commission the improvement that have been done in the design of the broadband equipment. The other one regarding the other non-regulatory initiative related to the ICT versus sustainability is the new Code of Conduct for the sustainability of telecommunication network. And here, this has been published at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026. And this is covering the energy consumption of the radio access network and the fixed access network. So here the organization that signed this Code of Conduct has to report to the European Commission the environmental impact of the network and the improvement that they put in place. As this is just published, this Code of Conduct, obviously there is, I would say, a lot of room to improve in terms of the standard, in terms of the contents of this Code of Conduct. And also here, as you can see on the slide, there are references to several ETSI standards because I would say the ICT is mainly a topic, the ICT for the networks is mainly a topic for ETSI instead for the end user devices. This is a topic for SENELEC. This is referring to this Code of Conduct is referring to the network. Most of the standards, if not all, are on the shoulder of ETSI. Then, to conclude, the standardization organization are playing an important role in defining the necessary standard in support of the Green ICT. What is important is a good coordination among the SDO because this will optimize the efforts and avoid duplication of work. And then the regulation. Regulation alone cannot satisfy all the aspects and needs to have the technical standard for the assessment of the requirements defined in the regulation. So our work in ETSI is to help as much as possible the standards that are needed for the regulation. So with this, I stop here. I don't know if I was intended.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're running a little bit late, so I don't take questions now, but I would give directly the floor to the next speaker. And I would recommend to be a bit more concise, otherwise we will not get to the end of the morning with those speakers. Now let me give the floor to Dominique Vurge from Orange, representing ITUT today in the discussions or reporting on the work that he's doing there. Dominique, I guess we have the same settings.
Yes, thank you, Monique. I guess, can you hear me first of all?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you, but we don't see the slides. So you can share the screen.
Slides are coming.
Now we can see it.
Here you.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I see slides on the screen, yes. And so my name is Dominique Vurges from ITUT Study Group 5. And thank you for inviting us here today to have the opportunity to present our international point of view. I know this is a workshop dedicated to regional dialogue between EU and China, but you will see that there are much more similarities maybe that you expect. Anyway, so on behalf of Study Group 5 and following, we are part ITU of ITU. ITU is the International Telecommunications Union, and it is a specialized agency for information and communications technology, having its seat in Geneva. And what is remarkable, it is that it's one of the rare, let's say, standardization development organization, a little bit like ETSI, having both a governmental membership, because we do have all countries of the planet, let's say, participating, or most of all participating in our activity, about 200 member states, let's say. And in addition to that, as usual in the standardization sector, but it's quite important to note, we do have direct participation from, let's say, private membership or non-governmental organizations. These are universities, these can be operators, these can be manufacturers, academia, I say it, and various other organizations. The aim of the ITU is to provide a universal connectivity, and of course, we try to achieve also the sustainable digital transformation that is part of the topic today. It doesn't move to next slide. No, it's on my computer. It's okay. So when I was speaking about the membership here, you can see very quickly on the slide our participation. And you can see in yellow what is really highlighted is that more than half of our participants, 60% of the participation are members coming from Asia, the Asia region, which is very active. Also because they do not have very specific regional standardization organization, for example, as we do have in Europe for ETSI. So it's quite important to know. And after that, the second rank is the European participation, about 20 participation. So that means you see that about 80% of the participation is related to Europe and I would say Asia, largely a little bit than China, but just to say that is quite important to know, and that is maybe a first similarity of our work, and that explains also the common work we are doing together. Now coming into details, what is ITUT Study Group 5? Our work is dedicated on several topics, and the official title is Environment, Electronic Magnetic Field, EMF. It is Environment, Climate Actions, and Circular Economy. And this work is, let's say, based on 4 pillars. One is a traditional one, I will not expand it today, which is related to the electronic magnetic field and electronic magnetic compatibility. And this is to address in various standards or what is related to resistibility, lightning, protections, and also minimizing the potential health risk from EMF that has been a very sensitive topic in some media. But focusing on the environmental and I would say sustainability part, three pillars are really important. The first one is dedicated to the work related to the GHG emissions. And this consists to develop standards and guidelines that help reduce the carbon footprint of ICT operations, contributing to global climate goals. The second one is related to sustainable digital transformation, and that is the development of standards that promote the integrations of sustainable practice in the ICT sectors, focusing on energy efficiency, a little bit like in ETSI, resource management. And the third pillar is dedicated to circular economy because the aim is to take into account the whole value chain, from the beginning of the development to the recycling of the product. And so under that goal, we support the transition to a circular economy within the ICT and encouraging a strong e-waste management practices and the adoption of circular design principles. And in our membership, of course, also what is related to e-waste is a very important topic, as it is an international membership and as many products, as you know, finish sometimes in some developing country where this topic is very sensitive. So to recap our activities in some of our world here in the form of a list, you see we can have some dedicated and moving in, let's say, technical areas. I will not present these technical areas because there are some speakers here today from ITOT Study Group 5 that will go into the details of these topics. I see Susanna, I see Simon, who will speak to later, Jean-Manuel, and of course, Paolo for data center. But just to say here, you have a little bit a range of all activities covered by ITOT Study Group 5 that end in productions of standards. We do not call them in ITU language standards. As such, we call them recommendations. They take the form of L. series. So just to say, it is related about the enabling the net zero transition. This recommendation, this standard is very famous. It's, for example, L. 1480. We do work on decarbonizing the ICTs and all what is related to the scope 3 emissions. We do, and that is a little bit specific because we recently adopted standards relating on the environmental impact of artificial intelligence system, and we do have a first, let's say, framework standards related to this domain, which is the ITOT L. 1801. Of course, the work related to circular economy, e-waste, I mentioned that. And after that, as we are our DNA is in the telecommunications sector at the origin, so of course we do have specific work on green networks, mobile, fixed, and also there is now a grid momentum, as you heard that also from the Chinese presentation, but also within ETSI on all what is around the work related to the data centers. Is it about cooling, battery, or whatever? And finally, there are some other new topics which are interesting, and in particular regarding, for example, for European colleagues, when we speak about ICT sustainability and eco-design, this includes, for example, the work related to the DPP, which is the Digital Product Passport. And finally, we are open-minded also and take into account, or let's say, much more social responsibility related aspects, with handling in particular the work on the ICT's impact on biodiversity. When having said that, when presenting our activity, we do not work alone. We do traditionally collaborate with many other organizations. So I do not speak what is on the left on what is related to the EMF and EMC. That is a work in common with the World Health Organization. But also you can see that we do have collaboration at the highest level with the other standardization development organization of the ecosystem, in particular IOC and ISO. I guess these are well known. And regarding the specific climate actions, we have engaged various collaborations with UN system organization, but also that is important, as I mentioned that, with some private or let's say industry representative organizations. You can see, for example, on the slide, one example, which is a GSMA. But the one I would like to highlight today is not only because we are sitting here in the ETSI premises, is of course the specific collaboration we do have with ETSI. And that is the second point of my meeting today, because we are working closely together on a lot of domains. These domains are listed here, for example, so we do that work in collaboration with the ETSI chair, Beniamino, is related to data center energy efficiency, energy storage, equipment circularity, ICT goods, network services footprints, and all what is about enabling the ICT and design digital technologies for other sectors, because also we consider we do have, and I guess that will be presented later, also the ICT sector has an impact for the other sectors. And what is interesting is that this work results at the end in what we called in technical language, the technically aligned standards. And here you can have two examples of them. What is a technically aligned standard? That means that the content, is it either an ITU-T recommendations or is it an ETSI standard, taking the form of a yes and a number, is exactly the same. What differs is the way of adoptions in each of the organizations. Of course, each organization has its own rule, and the cover page, as you can see on the picture. But we put here on the slides two recent examples. One is related to the methodology for environmental life cycle assessment of information communication technologies, good networks and services. So in ITU, it is called L.1410, and in ETSI, ES 203.199. Another example is an update or revision of the L.1210 or ETSI 203.700, which is related to the sustainable power feeding solutions for IMT 2030 networks. Because we speak about IMT 2030, we do not use the acronym in ITU of 5G or whatever what will come. So just to say that is quite a remarkable achievement and helps the good collaboration we do have between the two organizations. And of course, as you can see, there is some common membership, and we thought it was particularly interesting to present that today in that seminar. So in conclusion, I would say very quickly is that in some standardizations, development organizations, there are work going on in various domains, and I would highlight one of them, which is related to the digital twins. But here I would say between ITU-T Study Group 5 and ETSI, we can say that maybe Beniamino and myself are some kind of digital, not digital twin, but shared twins. So we do work closely together, and this is done because we are both engaged in a fruitful, let's say, day-to-day collaborations for the best of the technical standards in support of green ICTs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dominique. I suggest we move forward because we are rather late, so I recommend the next speakers to stay within time. Now we're moving to from high-level roadmaps to some concrete technical approaches, and we'll deep dive in some of these discussion about energy efficiency in 5G and 6G infrastructures. And we have several speakers that will join online. Now the first one is Qi Shuguang from China Academy of Information and Communication Technologies. Then we will have that will focus on technical standards for energy efficiency in 5G and 6G infrastructures. Then we have sustainability of ICT products and eco-design, in which we have several speakers: Simon Cook from BT Group, Yang Yu Tao from Beijing Chesi Certification, Suzanne Nakalia from ITU-T, and Jean-Manuel Canet from ITU-T. And then we have a third presentation on power consumption management and technical KPIs for data centers with Guo Kai from SESEC, Yann Fromont from SENELEC, and Paolo Gemma from ITU-T. Qi Shuguang, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monique. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen then. Where is screen here?
You have 10 minutes.
Okay, I understand this. Can you see my screen now, presentation?
It's coming, but not in presentation mode. Yes, now it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great to hear. So thank you very much for the invitation, and it's really a good opportunity to discuss on the energy efficiency aspects between EU and China, also ITU colleague involved. And my name is Qi Shuguang, same organization from DC ICT, as Deputy Chief Engineer and Professor in Engineering. Here I'm representing delegates from China, as I have some chair of CCIC Technical Committee 4, Working Group 1, and also some TC involved in Chinese national standardization. And I have some slides also from ITU as in the capacity of Vice Chair of Study Group 5. We have already seen, we have a meeting in Sofia Antipolis headquarters and some other UN organization. So based on my knowledge, I would like to express or exchange the idea on energy efficiency in this 5G, 6G infrastructure. On the background, I think I don't have to say too much on SDGs, everyone knows. And with the development of AI, exploring energy consumption issue is usually a big problem at this stage. Not big problem, but getting more attention from our industries. And we're also seeing like from COP29, if I'm not mistaken, we have special digitalization day, which is very dedicated to discuss how to use the digital technology to impact climate change, etc. So it is very important point on this. And apologizing, I'm in Kuala Lumpur, raining outside very hard, so a bit noise on. And in China, again, turn back to Chinese domestic strategy. If you have already heard, this year we have 15th five-year plan, which has also some requirements or strategic plan on energy efficiency, like remote international mutual recognition of rules and standard for energy efficiency, water efficiency, etc., and also improve the energy efficiency of emerging sectors such as computing power, 5G base station, this kind of description, I mean, in this very important 15th five-year plan. And of course, in industrial policy document, may you already heard from Mengdi, we have very specific policy on standardization activity in communication industry and some other, green and low carbon development of ICT, etc., to have the energy efficiency requirements. Because of the interest of time, I would not go in very detailed, but just would like to express from China, we have very, specific activities requirement to the energy efficiency. Then I would like to just open from this because my topic today is energy efficiency of 5G and 6G. I taken 6G architecture landscape European perspective, this document. We have seen from 6G, we have communication network and also edge cloud, central cloud involved in, and also application was one part of this big structure. So in this regard, I would like to put this standardization standard in different levels. First level is equipment level. Everybody can very easily to understand, okay, you use every ICT equipment or telecommunication equipment, you have some requirements. So ICT, power feeding, cooling equipment, we all have some national requirement on energy efficiency. Then again, upper level is infrastructure level, which you now put all these devices together, like the telecom base station, telecommunication room, data center, etc. Then with this infrastructure supported, it will be goes to network level, which is wireless network, fixed network energy efficiency. And above this, we have services supported by the network. So energy efficiency of the services like various platforms and the application mode. So just to open from one by one in China, we have some national standard beginning with GB. It's mandatory, which means you have to follow this. Otherwise, you cannot enter into market. For example, there is one standard on energy efficiency of data center grids. This one is you have to do like this, otherwise you cannot build this data center, which is energy efficiency on the data center. Another one is GB 43630, which is energy efficiency requirements from on the service equipment. Also, this is mandatory. Again, another group of standard, this is not mandatory one, but when you choose this recommendation or standard as a reference, you have to, also keep alliance with it or satisfy the requirements. So I just put 6 this kind of recommendation or standard from China. Sorry, this is all national standard. It means that you are not in ICT sector only, because like some other sectors also have data center and services, so they have to follow this. So this is why we have national standard on this 5G, 6G, and a more broader area, like the terminology, like the key performance indicator, etc. I will not read it one by one, but actually just based on the energy efficiency area and mainly on data center, and also some resource usage, power, electric power usage, water usage, etc. IT system, of course. This is the national standard. Then we have a bunch of standards as industrial standard, which is more dedicated to telecommunication or ICT sector, which is, for example, I just put this slides for the equipment level, which is, for example, the first one. Apologize, I did not, just translate one by one. It's just from the title of the standard, you can see what's inside, like the power equipment, like the cooling equipment, like O2N equipment, PTN equipment, MSTP equipment, and also base stations, energy efficiency, and also some, for example, firewall and communication interface converters, etc. This bunch of standards not limited to, but I would like to just take an example, as we have some very specific standard requirements to this equipment, but also we have some classifications like grade 1, 2, 3, like this, requirements for different levels of the equipment, etc. So this is one bunch. Another bunch is on the infrastructure level, what I mentioned just now, as for example, on the telecommunication rooms and the base stations, data center, PUE, modular data center, and also energy efficiency management system, and also grading. Requirement of grading and the classification of computing power data center. So these are different, on infrastructure level, but the last one is here, like it is for data center. Some others this is for modular data center, different data centers. And this one is when you have energy efficiency management system, you have to follow this standard. Just to not only for, infrastructure level energy efficiency, but we have some different perspective on this energy efficiency requirement. Then here, I just would like to also try to put some other ongoing works in the domestic China, 5G, 6G. Then you can see mainly working on evaluation methods for 5G radio access network, technical requirements for 5G access network, energy efficiency management, and also evaluation of fixed network and energy efficiency indicator and evaluation method from mobile network, etc. It is the network level. If you can already see what I have put in the industry level, mainly we have already finished or published lots of equipment level and the infrastructure level. Now our ongoing works are more going on the network level, and also one important point on computing power level, which is with the increasement of development of AI. Here is lots of computing power consuming energy. So we put as the wide area network in computing power network CPN, and also computing system in CPN, and some other intelligent computing system in CPN, etc. So these are ongoing work in domestic China. Just now I explained I also work in ITU a lot, together with Dominique and Vinamino just mentioned. So just presented. So here I try to put some ITU and some other ICSO standard for all of your information. I will not go very detailed on what is on this slide, but I just would like to explain in ITU we also have different levels of energy efficiency, like telecommunication equipment, like supporting infrastructure, and also ICSO as the only data center, but energy efficiency on IT servers, and also renewable energies and cooling efficiency ratio, etc. It is a different perspective, but we all have this kind of standard, I mean, on the equipment level. Then in the infrastructure level, I mainly put from ITU standards like supporting infrastructure, PUE, in data center, and also base stations, energy efficiency, and this one is measurement methodology and the ongoing work on the energy efficiency metrics and measurement for data center and the telecommunication room. And on the network level, ITU also plenty of recommendation published as assessment of mobile network energy efficiency under 1331, and 32 is total network infrastructure energy metrics, and also 33 is carbon intensity for network energy performance, and some other ongoing works. I just try to put these ongoing works in different levels. This is my last slides. I have to be quick, I know. And in the equipment level, we have ongoing work as the data storage equipment and the servers. Then infrastructure level, we have classification criteria for base station size, energy efficiency classification, and the data center, what I just mentioned. And network level, we open the revision of ILO 3031 and also assessment of the fixed network energy efficiency, ongoing work. And also on the services level, we have energy efficiency of AI large models and the deep learning computation, energy efficiency framework and the metrics, etc. With saying this, let me conclude my presentation, and thank you very much for all of your attention. Happy to communicate with further steps.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ki. Let's move to the next, sustainability of IC products and eco designs. I again would like to urge to stay within the 10 minutes, otherwise we don't give space to everyone as planned. Now we have, I think, Simon joining from the ETSI Amphitheater, right, Simon? You are on mute, Simon.
Fine, it's good.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, thank you. Let me just share my screen then, and we'll make a start.
Great. So something is coming now. Yes, not in slideshow mode. Control L. Yes, perfect. Thank you,
Okay.
Simon. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you to InDiCo Global in collaboration with SESEC for arranging this workshop here today. Thank you also to ETSI and the ITU for supporting the event whilst we meet here for our joint meetings, which is a 2-week meeting period. This session's about sustainability and ICT products, sustainability, energy efficiency, life cycle assessment, and the circular economy. And most important of all is looking at KPIs, metrics and methodologies for measuring and reporting, because without KPIs, we're unable to report on the aforementioned items. So my name is Simon Cook. I'm an electrical specialist at BT in the UK. As part of my job role, I develop designs, policies and standards for power equipment across the BT estate, supporting ICT equipment. That may be DC power systems, UPS systems, batteries, battery energy storage, and generators. And within BT, there's a high focus at the minute on energy efficiency, green technologies, battery energy storage, including peak load shifting and demand response. And we also provide technical response and support to our field engineers. On top of that, I'm also the chair of the E2 working group at ETSI. 2 seconds. So I just wanted to talk a bit about ETSI and Technical Committee EE and what we do as a technical committee. So I'll just read out the first paragraph here. So TCEE is responsible for defining the engineering, the bonding and grounding, the power supply interfaces, the eco-design and environmental impact assessment methodology and efficiency for ICT equipment and infrastructure, and that includes data centers. It also includes subscriber premises, and also for mobile devices, network and computing hardware, software and AI systems. Within ETSI and TCEE, we have 4 working groups. All working groups are working towards sustainability in eco-design. So we have working group EE1, which is environmental conditions and thermal management. And that working group looks at the environmental conditions, thermal management and acoustic noise for ICT equipment. We then have the EE2 working group, for which I am chair. And that working group looks at power supply interfaces to ICT equipment. Also looks at renewable energy and alternative energy sources. We then have the EEPS working group. That working group looks at energy efficiency, environmental matters, lifecycle assessment. And then finally, we also have the EEMICT group, which looks at mobile devices. And similarly to the EEPS group, it looks at environmental deliverables, energy efficiency, life cycle assessments. So some really good work being carried out at the minute by the working groups. So why is sustainability and eco-design important? Well, at the minute, the ICT sector is expanding. The environmental footprint is growing, and even more so with the introduction of AI. Energy consumption, so in data centers, telecom networks, and cloud infrastructure, we consume large amounts of electricity. The ICT sector is estimated to contribute up to 4% of global CO2 emissions. Within BT, 1% of the UK's energy which is generated is used by BT. Now, 1% doesn't sound massive, but that 1% is supporting just the fixed network across BT. So it's massive, really. Electronic waste, so short equipment life cycles and frequent hardware replacement has resulted in increased waste. Batteries, PCBs, semiconductors contain waste materials that need to be managed, and up to 50 million tonnes of electronic waste annually, with only 20% of this e-waste being recycled. And that's becoming a major problem because we are seeing some increased turnover of ICT equipment with industry. I personally am used to ICT equipment probably having a 15 to 20 year lifespan with PSTN. However, we're now seeing with the advancements in technology of equipment that's having probably a 5-year life before it's replaced. And then looking at resource depletion, ICT relies on raw materials such as lithium, cobalt, copper, rare earth metals, and these resources are finite. Resource demand is accelerating. So what do we do? How can we support this? So supporting sustainability requires the provision of key performance indicators for products, requires methodologies for determining the environmental impact of ICT equipment, and then requires methodologies for determining the life cycle assessment of ICT equipment, and that's both in the fixed network and within the mobile network. Life cycle assessment is critical in determining the impacts of product and ensuring sustainability. Life cycle assessment needs to start at concept and design stage, and it's a cradle to grave approach. We've got 3 standards here that I wanted to focus on as part of today's meeting. So we've got the ES203700, which is Sustainable Power Feeding Solutions for 5G network. And that supports sustainable development, minimises environmental impacts, looks at simplicity, and looks at energy saving. We then have ES203199, which is the methodology for environmental life cycle assessment of ICT goods, network and services. And that looks at standardizing a methodology for ICT equipment, ICT services and ICT networks. And then the final one on there is ES304132, which is product specification requirements for life cycle assessments of smartphones. And that defines product level requirements and rules for conducting life cycle assessments. We then need to look at energy efficiency as well. There's some discussions later on in the presentation about energy efficiency, but just to summarize on this, again, we need to look at KPIs, because without KPIs, we are unable to monitor and report on any energy saving. And working between the standard organisations, we need to have standard KPIs. What we find is one standard organisation may have one KPI, another one another KPI, and the two don't match, and we need to align those. We need to look at defined methodologies for metrics for assessing energy efficiency. And then we need to look at assessment of energy efficiency based on performance dimensions. So how does the performance of equipment affect the energy efficiency of the ICT equipment? And again, we've got 4 standards there, conscious on time. So we've got EN 303472, energy efficiency measurement and methodology and metrics for RAN equipment, and that's currently being updated. We've got ES 203228, assessment of mobile network energy efficiency. That's also going through an update. We've got a future publication, which is currently being worked on, which is ES 204086, which is fixed network energy efficiency definition and measurement. And then finally there we have TR 104084, which is multi-dimensional network energy efficiency. Moving on then to the circular economy. So within the ETSI, we have TR 103476, which looks at the circular economy, definition of approaches, concepts, and metrics. Obviously, within the circular economy, we need to look at eco-design and shift into a more sustainable economy. Ensures a reduction and efficient use of natural resources, reduction in the critical use of raw materials, product extended life, reusability and recyclability. We've got the diagram there to the right, which shows the circular economy, provides an example of, and obviously we need to reduce what we do with natural resources and also reduce landfill. And we've got 2 more standards there at the bottom, which also look at the circular economy. Looking at how standards drive sustainability and eco-design. So we need to look at establishing common benchmarks. So standards help create key performance indicators and metrics to define sustainability, energy efficiency, eco-design using measurable terms. And that's key to what I spoke about earlier, about having technically aligned and standard KPIs across standard organizations. Standards help monitor the lifecycle assessment of ICT goods. And standards allow fair comparison between products and networks, providing methods for reporting and compliance. We then got to enables a circular economy. So standards promote the circular economy and principles of reuse, repair, refurbish, and recycle. And then importantly, standards enable interoperability between different technologies and systems, facilitating integration of green technologies across different platforms. And that's replicated within the ETSI-TC environmental engineering work groups. So we've got EE1, which is environmental engineering. We've got EE2, which is power supply, earthing and bonding, and EEPS, which is energy efficiency. And then we've got international technically aligned standards. And again, these provide a common global framework across the globe. International standards provide consistent definitions, metrics, and methodologies across countries. Harmonized language allows commonly agreed terminology in global markets and value chains. And international standards allow the use of standard technically aligned KPIs. And we need to focus on that as a standard organization across the globe. We then look at harmonizing global supply chains. International standards allow harmonized requirements across manufacturers, operators, suppliers worldwide. And it allows a standard approach, extending product life, reducing waste. And it allows collaboration and scalability between, international standards creates a common language for global industries, enabling collaboration across borders and facilitating the scale adoption of innovative, sustainable practices. So in summary, international standards turn sustainability from what is a concept into a globally consistent, measurable and enforceable system, enabling coordinated action across countries and supply chains. I've got an example there of standards that we're currently working on. We being ETSI, working with the ITU, doing some great work to promote energy efficiency, sustainability and life cycle assessment. Conscious on time, so I shall skip past reading those out one by one. A couple more slides. We within ETSI are working with the European Commission to deliver a couple of, one code of conduct here, which is the sustainability of telecommunications network. ETSI working groups such as EE, ATTM and Cable are currently delivering on the EU code of conduct. And within the ETSI, TCEE, we have 3 standards that we are working on to support that code of conduct. I need to point out that ES 203228 is going through some significant changes to accommodate that code of conduct. Some really good discussions there being supported by the delegates within the EES working group. So credit to them. We've again got another standard request here that's been outlined by the European Commission, which is the eco-design requirements of smartphones, mobile phones other than smartphones, cordless phones, and slate tablets. And again, EMICT are developing 4 standards to support that standardisation request. And these are new standards which don't exist within the other standards organisation. So some really good work being carried out there by EMICT. So to summarise, international standards provide consistent definitions, metrics and methodologies across countries, providing harmonised language and commonly agreed terms. Effective collaboration between standards organisations enables sustainability and eco-design. Standards help create key performance indicators and metrics to define sustainability, energy efficiency, and eco-design using measurable terms. And as mentioned a few times during this presentation, we really need to focus on aligning those KPIs between different standard organisations. Standards help monitor the lifecycle assessment of ICT goods, network and services, allowing the environmental impact to be assessed. Standards reduce energy consumption and carbon emissions. Standards support the circular economy and enable principles promoting reuse, repair, refurbish, and recycle. So in summary, standards are a key enabler for long-term sustainability, eco-design, and the introduction of green technologies. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time. And I'd like to invite the next speaker, which is go ahead.
We have received a notification that Susanna and Jean-Michel are in a hurry. Jean-Manuel, sorry. So I would suggest that we go to them, but we're not going to stay within time if everyone, because this was a slot of 10 minutes in total. So I really urge the speakers to please try to stay within time, otherwise I will have to interrupt, because we cannot get to the end of the session with all speakers. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Yang, because we inverted this because the 2 speakers have to go. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks for this opportunity. So I'm Jean-Manuel Canet. I'm the rapporteur for the question on the environmental impact of ICT. This is a question 9 in, let's say, the study group 5, and it's in particular developing methodologies. And together with Susanna, we are going to give you a presentation on sustainability of ICT products and eco-design. And I let Susanna present briefly herself.
Okay, hello everybody. So my name is Susanna Kallio. I'm the co-rapporteur in ITUT study group 5 in question 7. And I'm also then coming from Nokia. So together with Jean-Manuel, we will start the presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Susanna, and thank you for sharing the slides. So very pleased to be with you for this important discussion this morning. We have seen excellent cooperation between China and European Union in general and their companies in the frame of our work in ITUT, also excellent cooperation, of course, with other regions. And this morning, we are going to show some elements related to environmental impact assessment framework. So as you can see here, you have here an overview of the different standards that either have been developed or are being developed from several perspectives. Because when we look at environmental impact assessment, of course, we can look at the product, network, services perspective. So typically, we are using, as you can see, laptops, screens, networks to connect with all the remote participants. And it's important to have a way to assess the environmental impact of these different objects, of these products. And for this, we have now pretty well-known recommendations, which is ITUT L.1410, and I will briefly come back to this one afterwards. We have also a new one, which is L.1411, which is on the simplified assessment of, let's say, life cycle assessment of ICT goods, products, and services. And it's important to notice that these two, for example, were developed in cooperation with ETSI, and we are very grateful to the cooperation that we are having with ETSI, since, as it was mentioned by Dominique, for example, earlier, there is this cooperation ongoing for several years, successfully ongoing, with technically aligned standards. The second dimension is the organizational and the sector approach. Organizational level, you have the standard L.1420, infrastructure, project level, city level, and also, importantly, the sector level, that is to say, the assessment of the impact of ICT at the full sector level, typically at the global scale. And we have also developed, in cooperation with other organizations such as SBTI, the Science Based Target Initiative, the International Energy Agency, the GESI, the GSMA, we have developed also some trajectories for the sector aligned with the Paris Agreement. Then we have some standards dealing with net zero implementation, decarbonization. As you can see, we can go please to the next slide, where we will find other perspectives, typically the ICT enabling effects, and I will come back to this a little bit also just after. In particular, we have L.1480, which is the methodology to assess the ICT's impact on other sectors. We have some standards related to policy and strategic guidance, and also, as it was earlier also mentioned, emerging digital technologies, and in particular, this new standard, L1801, on the environmental impact assessment of AI systems, also built in full cooperation with ETSI, and Susanna will have the pleasure to say some words about this one. We can go to the next one. So we have this one, which is L.1410 ITUT at CES 204-199. This is on the methodology for environmental life cycle assessments of information and communication technology, goods, networks, and services. And on this one, as you can see, the perspective is really the one from the full life cycle. And this is very important to consider when assessing the footprint of a product, typically the full life cycle. And you can see here the different elements that are covered in this standard. You will be able to discover them more in detail, should you like to do so. If you do not yet know this standard, ITUT standards are available for free. They are on the ITU website. And so we encourage you to discover this and to use it. Now it's pretty popular. And you will see that these different life cycle stages are covered. Good raw material acquisition, the production, the use, and of course, as well, the end-of-life treatment. We can go please to the next one. The next one is the one on the assessment of the impact of the use of ICT services, ICT solutions. And this is this L.1480, ITUT L.1480, also ETSI 204-087. This one considers different effects. That is to say, the direct impact of the physical existence of the goods which are allowing a service or solution to function. And you can see here on the left-hand side, we call this the first order. This represents the direct impact. For instance, when we are having this video conference, this webinar this morning, we are using screens, laptops, networks, and so on. And so the direct impact of, let's say, the production of this different equipment has to be taken into account. This is the first order. Then the second order considers typically the avoidance of other emissions. So if thanks to the fact that we are having this conference jointly together today, some people have not traveled, then some emissions may have been avoided due to reduction in the emissions corresponding from the travel. But also, this standard considers rebound effects, which are higher, what we call higher order effects, and which are coming, for instance, from if you have not traveled, you have saved time, you have saved some budget, and then what will you do with this? And this that would happen would be called the rebound, just to give you an example. We also have different perspectives here. We can do this kind of assessment before an ICT service is implemented, during its implementation, or after it has been actually implemented. And in this last case, we have more data available, of course, because it has been really implemented. Thank you. Here you have just quickly a figure showing what we do when we use this standard. This is called a consequence tree. We look at all the potential consequences of the use of this service, which could be positive, negative in terms of environmental impact. We look at first order, second order, and higher order effects. Thank you so much, Susanna. And now I give you the floor, Susanna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jean-Manuel. So yes, then going to the next standard. So this is the world first standard for how to assess the environmental impact of AI. So that was published earlier today, and it's also a joint development from ITU and ETSI. And this is then a standard which is based on full life cycle impact. So we are really assessing the impact from the very beginning to the end. And it is based on the two standards which Jean-Manuel just presented, L1410 and L1480. Here then showing that it applies to all kinds of different AI systems. So as you know, AI system comes in very different shapes. It can be an expert system, kind of a rule-based system, or then it can be machine learning and even generative AI, so some chatbots. So this standard is general so that it applies to all of these. And a couple of weeks ago, ITU organized a webinar where we then went into more details of the standards. That's available, the recording of that in the ITU pages. So you can possibly check it from there. Then circular economy, that's supporting then the sustainable ICT and also eco-design. We have then a couple of standards there. I will explain a few of them here. First of all, we have on concepts and principles level, we have L1022 in ITU. That is then describing circularity from two different perspectives. First of all, from organizational level, and secondly, then on a product level. So on organizational level, then there is description of different processes to be taken for circularity, business models and take-back models. On a product level, then the intention is to keep the product at its highest utility level. So reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and then material recycling. And if nothing else works, so then at least energy recovery for that in order to avoid landfill. And then there are several circularity aspects which can be then taken to extend the lifetime of the product. So we can also then use recycled content in the production or reused parts. We can then look at or kind of expand the durability of the product and also increase the energy efficiency and then make it possible so that it's refurbishable, the product at the end of first use. Here then another product level standard L1023, which is then an assessment standard to assess what is the circularity level of a product. It has three main categories and specific aspects under each of these. So for product durability, it's then about maintenance and robustness of the product. Equipment circularity is more on the material level. And then manufacturer circular abilities, they are then on the services and spare part availability level. And these different aspects are then evaluated to get the overall circularity of that product. Yet then one topic which I want to mention here is digital product passport. So ITU together with ETSI has then produced these two standards which are giving a general overview and also then a description of sustainability and circularity data items which could be then used in these digital product passports. So in ITU side, the standards are L1070 and L1071. And as Jean-Manuel mentioned, these are all available, freely available. So that was also for other standards then. All the experts from question 9 and question 7 are very happy to give more information then on these topics. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's very dense presentation. I realize that it's difficult to squeeze it in 10 minutes, but I really appreciate your effort. And I would also like to thank our next speaker because we inverted the order. Our next speaker is Yutao Yang from the China Electronic Standardization Institute, expert in bilateral and multilateral sustainable manufacturing and green product auditing frameworks. We're looking forward to your presentation. We can see it. I guess you're going to share it now. Yes. Can you say something?
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Thank you.
Wait a moment. Hello, everyone. I'm Yutao Yang from CSI certification, and CSI is China Electronic Standardization Institute, and we are from the certification department. And as we are the first time to as we are the first time to communicate, let me introduce and give a brief introduction for our organization and for me. CSI certification is a third-party certification body in China, and we focus mainly on the CCC certification, which is a compulsory certification in China, and the energy efficiency certification, and including China Raw certification, and including carbon footprint labeling, greenhouse GHG verification, which is very popular in hot areas recently. And lastly, go to the CSI certification has a service on green product certification. And for me, I'm working in this company for more than 20 years, and I wish to share some green and low carbon product in ICT areas from standard to practice in China. And here I bring with you about some from the policy background and the standardization and for the green low carbon product, and which is including energy efficiency, China ROS, and the carbon footprint, and get all together go to the standardization into green low carbon product. And last, I would like to have this opportunity to discuss what the opportunities and the challenges for China and the EU market for both of us. And last, we want to find some examples from the novel solutions for industrial practice. And first, from the policy background, as the other expert introduction just now, and not only China and all the world have focused on the green and low carbon areas very hard. And in China, there is a policy for the green product standard labeling and the certification system. We have 4 unifications to get this work negotiate from the different departments in China. So the 4 unifications, including the product catalogs and the standard and the certification rules and the labeling. So after these 4 unifications, we start from the standard. And this standard is organized and managed from the Technical Committee 28, which is the National Standardization Institute Committee. And this TC is responsible for the ICT product standard, mainly including performance standard and the green product standard. And let's go to the standardization framework. Today's topic is eco-design and green ICT. So we think in China is similar, the framework from design to evaluation. From the very top standard framework, there is an eco-design China standard named, the number is 24-56. For the general principle for eco-design of product, for all the product, especially for industry product, including green ICT product. So from the very beginning, the eco-design for the product and the other evaluation standard from the end product is a standard in China is 33761, which is general principle for the evaluation of green products. So for the green products, after this top standard, we have already published more than 60 China standard for green product, including ICT product. And the first batch of the ICT product in these areas start from computer and the printers in 2024. And the number is 447, and 443 for computer and 7 for the printers. These 2 standard is drafting under the management for Technical 28, and CSI is a leading organization for this standard. And in this series, green product standard, in the last year, carbon footprint standard have included in the green product evaluation dimensions. And so the standard for carbon footprint standard started from a group standard. This is CES Association standard for 1814 and 52. Last year published, the name is Green GHG qualification method and requirement for carbon footprint of product, which is equivalence similar as ISO 14067. And the microcomputer would be the first standard in these areas. And nowadays in 2026, by the end of this year, an industry standard would be developed and published based this CSI standard. So this is the standard framework from design to evaluation. So you see just now I have given you an overall introduction for the China green product. This is the background, and here is the 5 dimensions of requirements for the green product evaluation, including resources and energy efficiency and channel energy protection and low carbon and quality, which is requirements including the quality is reliable and the durability and noise, and the resources is mainly requirement including recycled plastic, what the percentage of the recycled plastic, and energy efficiency including level 1 or level 2 as specified in the compulsory national standard 28 and 380. And certainly, China ROS is included in this area, in this requirement as a dimension for environment for protection. Low carbon is now recently included in this standard for carbon footprint. So similar like the data center or the other green ICT requirement, in China, green product will have 5 dimensions and the related requirements and have related standard according to this standard to realize the requirements. And this standard for computer would be the first green ICT standard in electronic industry. Okay. So just now is the green product evaluation in China. How about in international green and low carbon ICT product understanding? So we have some review for the other country and areas for environmental labeling systems, such as in America is EPID. EPID for computers and television servers, and which is published by GEC and in IEEE 6080, and the full name is Electronic Product Environment Assessment Tool. So this is similar like China green product evaluation of 5 dimensions. And similar like the other areas of the international is labeling system is TCO from Swedish, Blue Angel from German, Energy Star from America, and this is mostly focused on energy efficiency, and Blue Angel focus efficiency and low emission and recyclability, and similar environmental labeling system, but different, not totally the same requirement. So here is a question and the communication I would be give you for the discussion. What will be the requirements and the opportunities and challenges for green and low carbon product when they entering the EU market, especially for the carbon footprint quantification, particularly under the EU battery regulation, because there is several regulation published in different state, different area, period, and it is recommended we discussion, the different regulation from EU battery and WEEE regulations. So this is in the China and international green green ICT product evaluation. So take computer for example, for typical example in ICT. So the standard goes through from the performance standard and then go to the safety and go to the EMC and go to energy efficiency and go to the ROS and go to the carbon footprint, and finally we come to the green product evaluation. The first in green ICT is computer. So similar like the other expert introduced just now, so we have spent a long period to go to the standardization, develop, and go to the green product evaluation now. Okay, and
if we can come to the end, because
come to the end is similar. Here is the efficiency for the computer, and here is the China ROS, just I have introduced, and then here is the carbon footprint in China, and we have established the first certificate according to this standard. So here come to the opportunities and the challenges for green ICTs and sustainability. So it is recommended we have enough policy alignment between China and the international, and here will be challenging during the implementation coordination. So, and to realize the international mutual recognition. And the last case is from Lenovo's typical example. They have in China industry, not only Lenovo, but also the other many enterprises have realized from design to evaluation, similar like circular ecology and from the recycled material and the other green ICT technology and used in maybe data center and used in the computer product. And nowadays, green ICT is mainly hottest areas is the next future target is focused on net zero for Lenovo. So this is a similar concept and idea in the China's practice from standard to practice. So this is all for, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you. The slides will be shared after the workshop today, so there will be also the possibility for the audience, the participants, to grasp more details. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now let's move to the next one. We have now Guo Kai from China Electronics Standardization Institute, then Yan from Sensenelec, then Paolo Gemma from ITUT. Guo Kai, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
We can hear well.
可以看到我的屏幕和听到我的声音吗？
We can see the slides, if you can put them in slideshow mode. Perfect.
大家好，
Thank you.
我是来自中国电子技术产学院的郭凯，非常感谢 InDiCo Global 负责的这次活动，给中欧标准化工作者提供一个较好的机会。在全球化与低碳化交汇的今天，数据中心作为数字经济的核心基础设施，其绿色发展已成为全球共识。 中国作为全球算力增长最快的市场之一，始终致力于推动数据中心的绿色低碳转型。我今天分享的主题是 Power Consumption Management and Technical KPIs for Data and Centers。中国的国家标准数据绿色中心评价刚好契合主题，并可以说明我们关注的数据中心的一些核心指标。我将通过解读这个标准与大家增进一些了解。国家标准绿色数据评价于2024年11月28日正式发布，并于2025年6月1日正式实施。这是中国首部针对数据中心绿色化评价的国家标准，做到中国的数据中心有标可依、有标必依的新阶段。这个标准编制及发布的背景有3个重要背景。第一是响应全球的气候变化，数据中心能耗的迅速增长已经成为全球关注的重点用能领域。中国承诺2030前碳达峰，2026年碳中和，数据中心是关键的领域之一。第二，要引领行业高质量发展。过去几年，中国数据中心规模快速增长，我们需要一把质量的标尺来衡量真正的绿色数据中心。第三，这个标准是支撑中国的东数计算全国一体化的算力网的工程。2022年，中国启动了东数计算工程，建设8大枢纽和10大集群，是绿色化的核心要求之一。这项标准为工程提供了基础支撑。这个标准呢，它是有5大领域的评价。第一个就是能源资源的高效利用，占比是最重，50%。其次是绿色设计、绿色运维、绿色服务和绿色采购。大家可以看到，这个是这个标准的核心的评价指标，分为5个1级指标和21个2级指标，相应的比重和分值也给大家列得清楚。这里面挑几个比较关键的指标给大家做一个介绍。第一个是这个电能利用效率是占了30分。它的计算方法呢是满分是 1.1， 就 PUE 到 1.1 可以得到满分， PUE 到 1.5 可以得到基础分，然后每降低 0.01 会相应增加1分。然后第二个核心指标是我们的可再生能源和储能利用。可再生能源这是占比是 10%， 这也是中国目前最大一个特点，就是不仅要看我们用了多少电，更要看我们用了多少绿电。现在呢是在东数计算8大枢纽10大集群区域新建的数据中心，中国要求要使用绿电达到 80% 以上。对于存量的数据中心，绿电的使用比例要每年递增 10%， 以及我们也正在做一些绿电直连和绿电溯源的一些探索，应用在数据中心领域应用更多的储能来做到我们的算电协同。然后绿色采购的话，绿色设计的话，我们有这个暖通的是占比 40%。绿色设计的话呢，它是考核我们的数据中心在设计阶段有没有应用更多的绿色化的产品和绿色化的先进设计。还有一个指标就是我们的水资源的使用效率。因为中国的水资源分布不均，西部地区和它的水资源相对匮乏，我们因此将水效纳入了我们的评价标准，要求WUE 要在 1.6 每升每千瓦时以下。除了这3大的指标后，还包括了温室气体排放的管控指标。这意味着碳排放不再是加分项，而是我们的评价内容。此外，这个评价体系还涵盖了信息设备的复合使用率，这个是解决数据中心使用率不高的问题。还有我们的现用物质控制，要履行我们的环保责任，以及废旧电子电器产品的处理，完善我们的循环经济。还有一条就是我们的环境影响与职业健康，体现我们以人为本。这是我们给出的绿色数据中心的定义。首先，我要解释一下什么是绿色数据中心。是在全生命周期内，在确保人员安全与信息系统及其支撑设备安全、稳定、可靠运行的条件下，最大限度的节约资源能源，减少环境负面影响的数据中心。 这个定义有2个核心的关键，一是全顺周期，2是安全优先，就是我们的绿色绝对不能以牺牲安全与可靠性为代价。为此，我们将数据中心的评价指标分为了能源类、资源类和环境类的3大类，这是相应的指标的分类。同时，我们还将我们的数据中心的指标按指标项和评价项也分为了2大类。还有一个就是我们的标准，它是一个聚焦数据中心全生命周期的一个评价理念。单一的电能使用效率的指标已经无法准确的评价数据中心是否绿色，绿色也绝对不是某一个环节的事儿，而是贯穿数据中心从出生到退役的全过程。比如在立项阶段，我们关注建设布局水平；在设计阶段，我们关注暖通、电气、智能化、信息系统4大系统的绿色设计；在建设阶段，我们关注我们的绿色采购以及现用物质的控制；在运维阶段，我们关注的是能源、水资源、碳排放的经济化管控，以及我们整个运维制度的建设；在改造方面，我们也在持续关注绿色化的改造与持续提升。以在报废阶段，我们关注绿色电子产品的规范处理以及废弃物的回收。这一理念确保了数据中心在每一阶段都践行绿色原则，避免重复建设，避免重建设轻运维，避免重前端轻回收的片面倾向。这是我们标准的一个实施意义。这个标准自2025年6月1日实施以来，在行业方面，通过量化的指标，可以引导企业精准挖掘节能降碳的潜力，以及推动液冷、自然冷却、智能运维等先进技术的规模化的应用。同时，可以促进常态化的评价机制的建立，通过标准引领我们数据中心的绿色低碳发展，同时通过我们的检测评价来监督行业是否实施一标建设，通过标准和检测认证的双轮驱动，共同推进我们数据中心绿色低碳高质量发展。同时，在社会效益方面，我们这本标准成为数据中心绿色发展的指南针，同时为数字产业高质量发展注入绿色新动能。截止到2026年，中国已经建成306家国家绿色算力设施，平均 PUE 能达到 1.25。这里我再和大家分享一个数据，就是中国国家绿色数据中心的可再生能源使用率从2018年的 15%已经升至2024年的 50% 以上，这也是标准引领带来了实实在在的进步。我们也将继续关注数据中心的绿色低碳发展，同时也在大幅度的增强绿电的使用比例。数据中心呢是绿色发展是全球的共同课题。中国在制定这项标准时，充分借鉴了国际先进经验，同时也融入了中国的实践创新。GPT 44989标准目前也正在推进英文版的定制。我们真诚希望与欧盟的标准协会加强标准互认的研究，同时共同探索碳核算法和方法学的国际协同，以及分享绿电直供、算力协同的中国实践经验，并联合开展基础标准研发，共同推进全球的算力绿色转型。标准的价值不在于独善其身，而在于兼济天下。中国愿与欧盟一道，以标准为纽带，共同推动全球数据中心行业走向更加绿色和可持续的未来。我们也期待与欧盟各位老师专家共同深化协同合作，让绿色成为中欧数字合作的新亮点。我的介绍到此为止，谢谢大家。Hello.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for the next speaker, that is Yann Romont from SESEC. Yann, good morning.
Good morning.
We can hear well and see you.
At least it's good. I try to share now.
Yeah.
Is it working?
Now it's working. slideshow. Yes, perfect. Please go ahead, Jan.
Thank you. So, Jan Fromont, here I'm representing SESEC. So I will be more electromechanical than digital, let's say. So I'm the chairman of the Industry Advisory Forum in SESEC, but also I'm a deputy president of TND Europe and Engineer Electric. So I will talk more about electricity because this morning we talk a lot about IT, but it seems that maybe we should not forget that data center is electrical, and it's something about electrical we need to manage, and not only data. So first, why is coming the issue on data center connection? Let's say it's also because we have more than a triangle, but the triangle is important between China, Europe, and US, and everybody is leveraging their power in standardization and regulation to push their own interest. So we see it clearly today with a lot of people from ITU, ETSI, GB, so now SESEC, but we should not forget that there is also ANSI, UL, and IEEE. Why? Because everybody wants a data center and data center now, and data centers that are very efficient. And why? Because the world is going to ICT, it's clear, but we should not forget that the world is going to electricity and electrification. And the race is about ICT clearly, but the race is also to electrify the demand side. So the demand side is home, whatever is a building, industry, and of course, data center are part of the journey. So everybody wants the same at the same time. So the current issue we are facing worldwide. And this current issue is bringing full of uncertainty. So long term, of course, everybody, and we heard this morning, dream about carbon neutrality 2040, 50, 60, never. So it conducts to many action midterm and many action short term. And everything is connected. Unfortunately, everything is uncertain. And we see clearly from 2022 with invasion of Ukraine that destabilized a lot of things in terms of priority. And the last Middle East war, where we see that uncertainty becomes the new normal. Having said that, in the electricity matter, before injecting a data center, we see a lot of uncertainty. So first on power generation, and you see it on the left side, when there were coal, gas, nuclear, it was very easy. Now with all the renewable, it's about uncertainty. Uncertainty local, regional, worldwide. On the demand side, with EV coming, the electrical vehicle, with the electrification, as I say, of the different part of the demand side, it's about uncertainty as well. And there is a famous animal also that we'll talk about data center. So it means the pressure is on the electrical grid, the electrical network from high voltage to medium voltage. In addition of all of that, we see two main entrants that are completely destabilizing the system, because here I'm talking about electrical system. It's of course a different AI. This morning I felt that there were one AI, and but there's many AI. AI for whoever, for us as a citizen, for the electricity system, for power for the power, etc. But here we'll talk more about powering AI, so powering data center. And the second one is also cyber. So we didn't talk so much about cyber, but without cyber, we can close, I believe, the deal today. So cyber is clearly the main thing to solve. And again, the system, not an individual. I heard this morning a lot of efficiency per module, so the efficiency of data center, but after putting maybe some motor efficient, some smart device efficient, etc. But I would say the aggregation of different smart things don't make the system smart. So here, I believe that's why also in SESEC, we work on that. It's about architecture. The full architecture should be considered, and not only a bit, as I heard this morning, to have efficient device, efficient wind farm, efficient battery, efficient motor. Of course, we need it. But really, if we want to make it happen, it should be the full system to become efficient. And to have an efficient system, we need the data around the system. And that's where the issue is there. This morning, I heard it looks like all the data are fine and we can use them. It's untrue. Huh? The issue currently we are facing in China, in Europe, in US is data coherence around the system. So that's where my expert and the expert we have in SESEC are working a lot, is to have this data interoperability within the electrical sector. Here, I don't talk about agriculture or medicals. Really, the electrical sector should have a data flow of easy to make what? Modelization. So it means anticipation, planification through digital twin, because we need to anticipate the arrival of more wind, solar, whatever, and of course, more data center. So that's where the energy efficiency will be really effective. It's with an end-to-end, so a global proposal. So of course, the data center is very different than a electrical vehicle or to install a new industry electrical. Why is different? Because it's big. Of course, metallurgy, for instance, or an automotive industry is very big as well. But here, at the same time, it's connected by nature. So data center itself is a different animal. And we need flexibility. As I say, the system should be flexible to optimize the consumption with the production. So that's where also the data center is an issue, because it's one of the less flexible animals in the electrical system. So that's where the issue with data center is. And of course, the consumption. But the consumption is also depending from the flexibility of the data center. Even more when the data center is 1 or 2 gigawatts. You cannot have a static thing in the network. So that's why we see clearly from the electrical perspective, the data center evolving. Evolving because there's no choice. We talk about standard. We have some standard also in Europe with 50,000 series. Regulation, already mentioned, but the pressure really is to become efficient, but mostly flexible. So the data center, the vision we have, it should not be something static in the electrical network, but it should be really a flexible, supportive assets of the system. It should be part of the equation. And there is something that is not a standard, but is not far from standard, that exists for 10, 12 years. It's about grid codes. So I know in US you have some also in China, but we should not, I didn't heard about it this morning, but the grid code are very, very important. There is 10 grid codes, but I would say on the 10 grid codes, you see connection, market, operation. So there is 3 I would like to mention. First, the connection, the demand connection code, which is clearly critical. That will go more and more with what we call a FCA, so a flexible connection agreement. It means an agreement between a grid operator and data center developer. The second one, very important, is of course the network code on cybersecurity that everybody needs to respect, including data center. And the new one being created is the demand at the moment, and it's the demand response grid code. So let's say the flexibility grid code, where a data center will have to follow the rules as well. So I wanted to mention it because in electricity, when you want to have electricity, at least in Europe, you need to respect these 10 grid codes. Otherwise, you will never have the permission to install a data center. And finally, I would like to be positive. In addition to what I hear this morning, we need also data center in Europe to participate to the electrification needs. We see on the map that China is electrifying very fast, and US, let's say less, and European not enough. So we need electrification. So of course, a connected data center is not about electrification, but it's about consumption of electricity. And when you look at the price of electricity in Europe, you see it very much expensive than in US, very much expensive than in China, and even more expensive than in Japan. So it means we need to have this electrification, and that's why we need also data center, because they participate to this global, let's say, electrification of Europe. So what we see at the moment is that they should be integrated at the system level first. Second, become flexible, able to interact with the systems through data exchange. And finally, we see the label coming. It's something that very used in Europe. So is the need of a label. And when you have a label, I saw it just before, you look at electricity, water, different aspects to have from the beginning a label on the data center that will define if we can connect it or not. So let's say if we add in addition the grid codes, the network codes, but we will have data centers that are very adapted to European electricity grid. So I would say that Europe and China is key as well, because it's global efficiency. We have not a network very different in Europe and China. The electrical network is not far. I know well the electrical scheme in China. We are not far, so we need to share the best practice, because at the end of the day, it will be to share some architecture view of the electrical system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jan. I hope, again, that the audience could follow. It's very dense presentation, and I thank very much the speakers for trying to stay within the time that is given. Now we have Paolo Gemma, ITUT, that I think will take the floor from the Etsy amphitheater. Now we can see your slides, Paolo. We cannot hear you. Now slideshow. Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all. Okay, I'm Paolo Gemma. I'm here as ITUT AG5 Working Party to chair. That is a working party in ITUT AG5 dedicated to energy efficiency, material efficiency, etc. And so on. Okay, I am from Huawei. I'm working from Huawei in any case, just to be clear. I give you some highlight on what we have developed in ITUT regarding data center. This is just a short summary of some recommendation that we developed. The first is the ITUT L13000, that is a collection of best practice aimed to reduce the negative impact of data center on the climate. They contain a lot of normal suggestions how to have a better green data center, and linked to that there is a certain amount of supplement, then give you also use cases about that. And this week I suppose that we will start to revise this old recommendation, because it was wrote some years ago. The technology evolved, and so we need to update that. The other is 1305, that is based on the monitoring of data center using big data and machine learning activity. That is covering how to use machine learning and some suggestion on how to have a better control of the cooling from one side, and on the management using these technologies
that help to reduce the impact of a data center from cooling point of view, but also from operational point of view, but also operation is very important to have a less impacting data center. Moving in our standard is arriving, okay. Then we have to consider L1322, that is something that we have developed now, last year, if I remember well, that contain a different level of metric on different points in a data center for the cooling part, from the chip to the rack to the room to the entire data center, to have a way to estimate which is the cooling efficiency in a data center and giving some idea how to improve these KPIs. Then we have a standard defining the assessment of for the data center, considering how to apply the also existing KPI from ISO ICJ-TC1 to the data center, giving maybe some accuracy idea how to measure this KPI and to measure really the data to calculate the KPI. The last is moving in a different direction, is dedicated to the procurement, to give to procurement guys which topic, which requirement they need to put in the tender to realize a data center, what they need to consider overly from environmental point of view. We don't want to go on a different topic, but to consider exactly which requirement they can put, which are the items that they need to consider when they make a tender, which type of data center they want to build, or for example, which level of availability or tier they want they need really, because any time that any their requirement have an impact from environmental point of view. Now I move to what we are actually activity. We have a standard looking on energy supply architecture for artificial intelligence computing scenario, but this is a very big discussion around the world, and we try to have a standard to define the architecture of the power supply distribution in AI. This is a very good, big discussion, and I hope that we will have in not so long time an agreement of what to consider as architecture for this. Then we have another work on the idea on how to connect directly renewable energy to a data center, what is necessary to consider, and how to manage in a good way the relationship between the energy production by the renewable sources and the data center load. How to manage it, to consider that, okay, renewable energy is not always stable. Maybe sometimes you have more energy than what the data center use, depending on the type of renewable, and how to, which protocol and how to collaborate between the load and the generation. Then we have a guideline of multidimensional environmental metric emerged for data center that I suppose will be in ITU world consent, approved at meeting level. Okay, consent for ITU people, approved for not ITU people this week. They contain some environmental metric measure for data center. Some metric are obviously some existing metric not developed by us, but there is some other metric that is defined by question 9 in ITUT. Then we have the LIDR on energy saving strategy for deep learning computing. Also, this is a guideline or idea how to save energy for this type of computing sensing, considering also not only the infrastructure, but also the computing phases how to deal with this type of software in some way, or software application. When we are moving on computing power efficiency metrics, it is always another time, okay, we have not a data center with inside server and so on, and how to measure which are the computing power, that is, which is the efficiency of data center, not only from infrastructure point of view, but also from computing point of view. The last is on liquid data center cooling, that is not new for RG5 because we wrote a different standard for liquid cooling in the past, maybe for base station, not for data center, but now we are looking on data center and we are different recommendation, not only this different work item, but is looking on data center liquid cooling solution. This is just a short overview because we have other standard data center, maybe looking on the environmental impact of software, for example. That is a very big discussion, a very hot topic that is a lot of years that is discussing, but it's important also to look not only infrastructure, but also on the software and the IT side of a data center. And this is all for my side.
Thank you very much. Thank you also for the patience, being the last speaker of a very intense morning. And now I will give the floor to Marcello Pagnozzi, Director of the Standardization Development Center from ETSI. He will be moderating a discussion, a panel discussion. Marcello I guess you will join from the same station where ETSI colleagues have been so far.
Hello. Yes,
Perfect.
I'm here on the podium, as you may see, and I also invite all the speakers that talked this morning, of course, from the room. If Mengdi Wang, Beniamino Gorini, Dominique Burgess, Simon Cook, Paolo Gemet's already here, so that to join us on the podium. And of course, also the other speakers that are online are invited and more than welcome to participate to this panel. So Yang Yutao, Gokai, Ian Framont. So first of all, while it's taking place here on the floor, I would like to say a very short introduction. I'm very pleased to moderate this panel because I was in ETSI, ETSI since 27 years, and 15 of them I've been spending supporting TCEE. So I'm I was instrumental to this collaboration that we have with the ETCE and ITU, and also with all the Chinese stakeholders that participate until now. And I would like just to spend a few words. People on the line may not see it, but we are in the middle of a collaboration 2 weeks meeting where people from these groups that I mentioned are here joined, looking at working on the matter that you have seen on the screen all this morning in order to make sure that what we are mentioning is progressing, it's having its impact on the matter that it's at stake. So I would like to thank you all the speakers that are now with me, and let's see for what is concerning the people on the line. I see that Guokai already raised his hand. Sorry, so I will let him go before I start. Yes, please go. Okay, you lower your hand. It's what possibly was. Okay, fine. So let's start. So first of all, I will say we have not the time that we were supposed to have, but I think we cannot globally upset at ourselves because you were presenting the matter, and I think it was worthwhile because we had a very good overview of what is going on in the various organizations in the various geographical area. So I would like to focus on a few questions, and I will ask which one of you would like to take the question. Of course, may not be everyone on each question because of time, but also because of the relevance that you see in the question to you. So the first one that I would like to address to you and also people online is that we have seen that there are a lot of standardization processes in place that we are following. So how these processes are relevant and adapted with the green ICT landscape that we have nowadays, and together also which area offer the great potential for enhanced standardization cooperation between China and Europe, because it's the focus of our workshop today. So who would like to start first on this? Yes, Simon, please.
Yes, good morning or good afternoon. So one of the items I spoke about in my presentation is having technically aligned KPIs between standard organisations. And that's something that we really sort of need when we're looking at energy efficiency and environmental matters. We really need those standard KPIs to be aligned across different organisations. At the minute, people can pick and choose what KPIs they're trying to align to for their benefit. However, if they're standardised across all standardisation organisations, it then closes that back door.
Yes, so Dominique, please.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and so I fully concur with what just has been said by Simon, of course, and in particular what is related to the technically derived aligned standards. In addition to what has been said also this morning, because in particular when I refer to Beniamino presentations and having some input coming from, let's say, public authorities, in particular European Commission, but I think also it's important to mention that in some other standardization development organization, in particular, for example, when we work with ITUT, the work also is contribution based, and that is really important because that shows the latest momentum about the industry interest when developing standards, and that is something also that it has to be in mind, because at the end it's developed on a consensus base, and that does not always necessarily fulfill public authority goals, but also maybe much more broader goals applying to the challenges faced by the industry. Is it on the telecommunication part, as we heard, or is it also on the energy part, as we heard also, because they do face some same kind of difficulties. That is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. So, of course, online, please do not hesitate at any moment to raise your hand or intervene. So, if there is no other intervention on this, we set a bit the scene, but I think that what we should look at is what we have in the near future. So, which gaps remains in order to translate the sustainability objectives into really concrete and testable requirement in standard, and how our collaboration can do that. And then saying this, I'm thinking all the work that we have on metrics, KPI, testability in all groups, both ETSI, ITU, and also in the Chinese organization. So who want to go on this? Yes, Paolo, please.
Okay, I am in both organizations in ETSI because I meet Marcello when both of us have a different color of hair. And in ITU, sure, I also looking on what Simon said, we need KPI agreed between all the organization. That is very important. But we need also have the same methodology to measure the KPI. Because this is very important if we want to move from standard to real sustainability effort. Because different anyone can said that I am green, I am more green with you, but if we have not the same methodology for KPI, but also for assessment, for SE assessment, will be very hard to have a final implementation what is a green development.
Okay, thank you, Paolo. Beniamino, please.
Yeah, regarding this question, we try to avoid or to resolve the gaps among various standardization organization in terms of the green ICT with say cooperation. But as technology is changing very fast, we need also not to, I would say, keep the standard as they are when they've been developed, but we need to ensure that they are reflecting the latest technology. So this is a dynamic process that we have to continue to maintain year after year in order that they cover the latest technologies. So this is something that is not frozen. We need to work on them day after day in order to keep them aligned.
Okay, thank you, Beniamino. Yes, please. Magdi.
Yes. It's okay. So thank you, Marcelo. I just would like to share our thinking during our several years international standard work in ITU, and also have the domestic or the industrial standardization work in China. Actually, I think we discussed a lot of times with experts in European Union to think how to keep aligned with each other for the international standard work, and how to execute or apply this standard in the future. So I think based on my experience, especially put a lot of work in GHG emissions accounting in question 9 in ITUT study group 5 for several years. I think it could be a good way or a better way in the future to think about later. For I say the pilot project is a pretty much important way to use our established series of recommendations, something like L.14 series for environmental, for the methodology for assessing the environmental impact, whatever, for the product level, organizational level, sector level, or even for the ICT enablement for vertical sectors. So I think based on our comprehensive structure for the ITUT or other international or domestic standardization work, we can try to do a collaboration with each other, whatever EU, China, or or with different other regions, to do some so-called the pilot project to execute or apply the established recommendations to think if it's acceptable and it can be widely used worldwide with this kind of methodologies. So after that, we will try to have more opportunity or chance to give us time to revise our recommendations if some cases study or some solutions will be not adaptable for each region. So I think it's pretty much a good opportunity or good thinking to do this kind of EU or China or different regions collaboration for whatever the not only the standardization work, but also the pilot project, or even for the future, we will have some large-scale application for different sectors or different regions. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi. So I would like to refer now to a question from a presentation from Yutao. So you in one of the slides asked the question, what are the requirements, opportunities, and challenges for green and low carbon products when entering the EU market, particularly under the EU battery regulation? So if you'd like to just give you your thought on this, and then we'll also ask others to share their view. So Yutao, if you can hear us online? Okay, possibly there is issue with the connection. So, and anyone else, both from online and physically here, to want to address this? Go, Jan, or Paolo, maybe?
Okay, I am involved on battery standardization, not only here, but also in other organizations. If you look to enter the market in Europe for batteries, becoming not complicated, but it's a little change a lot, because now we have a battery regulation that considers some topic on information that is necessary to give from battery point of view. And on this, SENELEC is writing some harmonized standard for battery on parameter like the state of health, the state of charge for battery. This is necessary to give for a battery to enter in a market, to continue to give this information. Other requirement regarding the environmental impact of battery, unlikely speaking about the standard organization, will be not regulated by standard, but from document from European Commission that give you a methodology on how to assess the LCA of a battery. But this is the actual situation. So there will be no standard for any European or international body, but just document issued by, the Joint Research Center and agreed by European Commission. This is the actual situation.
Thank you, Paolo. I see that Jan also want to intervene on this. Please, Jan. Cannot hear. Jan, are you? Okay, now it's unmuted.
Yeah. Battery, for me, it's a system. So the battery itself, of course, should be sustainable or recyclable. But it's not really the point.
Yeah, thank you for the communication just now. And I have sent my question into
Sorry, Yutao. There was intervening. We will give you the floor just after. If you just wait a few seconds. Thank you.
And for me, the point, I always think about the system, because the battery itself. So the point is often you are connected to an inverter, to a converter. So it's important to look at it. And after you need to communicate, and step by step it will be bidirectional. So we need to think global. It means it's no more hardware, battery, circuit breaker, overhead lines. It becomes something with sensor, with a gateway, and a bidirectional. So we should think already in 3 years from now. Automotive will be the first battery really bidirectional, but after everything, let's say around the battery, stationary battery, in buildings, in industry, in data center, will be anyway with inverter and anyway bidirectional to ensure the flexibility of the system. So we should think about the future and not what is needed now, because in 3 years everything will be bidirectional, and there the data, of course, modeling and interoperability need to be standardized in a way or another. So the cooperation between SENELEC and ETSI in Europe is mandatory.
Thank you, Jan. And Jan Yutao, sorry for interrupt you before, but please, you have the floor. Go.
Okay, it's my turn now. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for the expert just now. My question is, during the Green ICT product evaluation, the carbon footprint quantification is very important. And we have research for the different regulation for the EU battery regulation and the EU WEEE regulation. There is some different understanding for these two regulations. You may read the sentence in the chatter. And in the EU battery regulation, there is an end of life recycling stage is mandatory for carbon footprint quantification for batteries. But the batteries in computer is part or components of the end product. When we use this example for computer, but under the WEEE directive, the responsibility for recycling with electronic equipment lies with end-use product manufacturers would be the responsible for the end product for the end stage. So this is appear to some inconsistencies in responsibility allocation between these two EU regulations. So what WEEE's recommendation is the battery should be regarded as component or part of the end product. So the carbon footprint stage boundary should not be included the end stage for battery and should be included in the end-use product manufacturers.
Thank you for this sharing this view. I think it's a fair point, and of course we'll need more time to be developed, but that unfortunately I don't think we have it, because I just would like to just ask a couple of questions to finalize the session, and I know that Monique will then afterwards give a concluding remark. But I would like to address first, we know that with artificial intelligence we have a huge ramp up of need for energy. So how do you see this? How are we addressing this? Are we on the right way in order to make sure that this increased need can we cope with that? Or where are we, what we are doing, where are we in this matter? Who want to take that? Here or online? Yes, Simon, thank you for that.
Listening to recent reports, we're in a situation where we can't keep up with demand for electricity. And in some areas of Europe, the proposal is to adopt more green technologies to reduce that demand on the grid. Whether that's something we can enable, I don't know. But with the introduction of AI and high density equipment, certainly the demand on the grid is going to go up. If we're going to build new power stations, whether it be nuclear power stations or the like, this is going to take a very long time. So yeah, I guess the question is, can we keep up with demand?
Yes, Paolo, please.
Yes, also thinking on what Jan said before, that we need to go to system level. If we speak about data center, okay, as at you, we are thinking on architecture for the power distribution on data center. But then we need to move to the grid, because the new data center for AI will put big challenges on the grid distribution, because they are a very strange type of load. They are not stable sometimes, especially if we look on AI, I don't remember the process now, on the AI impulse of a very unstable load. And this will put a very big issue on the grid. I know that in Europe there is some draft grid code that start to look on that. And this will be a very big challenge from which we need standard looking on the data center side, the grid side, and put all together to be sure that all of the stability of the grid remain, because this will be a very big issue in the future.
Okay, thank you, Dominic, please.
Yeah, thank you. I may just, let's say, it has been a nice workshop this morning, and I still remain optimist. So I think also with that is AI is not only focused on the energy part, of course, which is important, but that at some point maybe can we relativize it a little bit? But what I would say is so that I'm confident in progress of technologies, and there are many ways to do so. We do develop jointly together, for example, some standards on the part of the refreshment of data centers using liquid cooling. That could be an example. But also you can see within data centers some computer technology that and that can provide some efficiency gains in the AI stack. And for example, the LLM interference energy efficiency. You note that it has been improved in the past very quickly, sometimes over 100 times or so over a decade. So that is quite important. I'm quite sure that such kind of progress can continue. We can speak about liquid cooling. I said that reduced water usage also because that is important. And you see, there's a lot of, let's say, social sensitivity about the implementations of data centers and with the impact of water use or whatever. So I think there are some way improving the things in various domains, and that is our role as technology leaders to help to bring that on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominique. And I would like to close the panel with the final questions. We have discussed about regulation, no regulatory initiative in accelerating Green ICT. So what do you think about the right balance between those? We have some non-regulatory EU initiative and the rule standard in supporting regulatory requirements. So who want to share his thoughts on this? Yes, please, Benjamin. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at first, before to go into regulation, that means defining requirements and regulation, we need to have a solid base on which are the aspects that should be regulated. That is why in Europe we adopted the Code of Conduct in order to start in some way pre-regulatory step in order to make the various stakeholders aware of the future expectation in terms of regulations, and then also to get experience in the application of the expected requirements. For sure, in order to support this, it's needed to have the technical standard that define how to measure certain parameters and how to report those parameters. Then, obviously, it is up to the regulatory organization, the European Commission, to get the final decision, which are the sector that shall be regulated and which requirement shall be imposed.
Thank you, Beniamino. Anyone else on this matter? Yes, indeed, please.
Thank you, Michelle. I think I just share my thinking about I think these two can actually, there's no strong conflict with each other, because I think for some, whatever in EU and China, and some innovative, or how to say, the initiative work is pretty much important, whatever for the sector or for the government sector. Because I think at the first stage we will try to support them to dig up all the kinds of new and emerging ICT technologies, and to search all the potential way to promote the energy efficiency and utilization of renewable energy at the first stage. And maybe at that stage, we cannot try to use some mandatory standard to limit their development or limit their creation about that. But actually, I think based on the responsibility of the regulator or the policymaker, we will try to have a periodical monitoring or periodical checking about what this kind of initiative things to be in what progress and what outcome or achievement we will have in the future. And actually, some evaluation or assessment about this kind of outcome or achievement would be done by the regulator or the governmental sector. And if they think, wow, it's pretty much good and it can be widely used in domestic or even for the international way. So I think maybe for the next step, we can try to put some standardization work to give much more guidance on requirement or some KPI metrics and even for some testing method in the future. And I think this process is pretty much good and to give our new and emerging ICT technology or the sustainable green ICT technology application more chances to spread out their influence during the domestic or even the international regions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this point. Well, I think that what clearly emerged that translating policy into standard is not only a technical matter, but also coordination challenge between region, domains, and stakeholders. And I hope that this workshop was just putting a brick to this construction of this. So with this, I would like also to thank all the participants to the panel, to all you, and I would like to give a hand for all of them. And I leave to Monique to
Thank you very much.
the event.
Thank you. Thank
Almost
you.
in time.
Yes, no problems. A couple of minutes. We've tried to squeeze in a discussion that could have taken much longer. So thanks a lot to all speakers. Thanks a lot to you, Marcello. I think it has been very dense, a lot of information that I think, we need to process. But what I think it's very clear is that Green ICT cannot be an afterthought. It has to be taken into account at design time already, and it is a core pillar of technical standardizations on both continents. I think that what emerges also that regulatory approaches might differ slightly, but the technical challenges, especially around data center metrics or energy efficient, network efficiency require highly compatible shared solution to protect global supply chains. So in that respect, I go back to the point mentioned at the beginning of the discussion. There's no geographical boundaries when it comes to addressing major sustainability challenges. And that's why also at technology level, we need to make sure that there is interoperability and that there is alignment on criteria, metrics, let's say performance, but also value indicators. I would like to close by thanking all the experts for their presentations. I would like to thank the co-organizer at InDiCo Global and SESEC, and to all of you that you have been online sharing this morning and afternoon with us. Please stay tuned to our channels. All registered participants will receive more information about workshop materials, presentation slide, and also a summary report that will come in the next few days. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of the day or rest of the evening for our Chinese participants. Many thanks and see you next time.